It's been a while since I've done a video, so I thought it's about time. It's a beautiful day outside, but I've sort of left them around a bit too late today to do anything significant, and it's Sunday. I've been working 6 days a week. Tomorrow's an RDO, which is good, so I've got to go to Clark Rubber to pick up some bits and pieces of rubber, just thin strips of rubber and whatnot. I'm going to probably remake that gasket. This is all for the heater box. There's another gasket there, and this heater core was sort of had rubber or foam, technically, glued all over it. Looks to be around about 10 or 12 mil thick, but it's all completely destroyed. I've got a great piece of foam there, but if I can buy some from Clark Rubber with, say, a self-adhesive type backing on it, great. If not, I'll have to buy some glue, some rubber glue, and I can cut that sheet of foam down to the right sizes that I need. So one way or another, I'll have the appropriate size foams. Yeah, that's very, very thin, that piece of rubber on that little metal flap. That sort of sits in this duvet whacker, which is on the back of the heater box, which diverts the air to the floor or to the screen. I'm sort of I'm trying to keep one complete so that I've got, a reference. This one here was the one that I took off this is the one that I chose to rebuild. It's got a slight break. This is the box where that flappy paddle sits inside. It's broken at the top there, as you can see. And I did also, if you recall, I had to remake the little arm, the lever arm. Now this vacuum thingamy-bob, whatever it's called, has a little plastic spout coming out the side. That one's slightly broken. You'd still get a hose on it, but not very successfully, and it could potentially fall off. This one is the one I've taken off, the one that I'm trying to preserve, and that's got a full-length plastic Huzumi Fluzit. So I'm going to grab that and put it on. Actually, I'm going to use that because that one's not broken, and it's still fully assembled. And I'll I don't know if you can see inside there, I'll replace the rubber on that. Oh, this car's had a broken windscreen, look at that. Glass. Anyway, and then I'll put this one back together. That brake doesn't actually affect the airflow too badly, well, at all really, because that's the vent for the windscreen, and it screws on there, and it actually covers the brake. But I'd rather have a mint one. So yeah, so I'll just pop this one back on the heater unit that I'm not using. So as you recall, I've had the whatever this is called, I think it's called the evaporator or the condenser. That's been pressure tested. So is this, the heater core. I still need to test this electric motor, but I don't have a battery down here. I'm not very good with electrics anyway. Yeah, so, and I'll clean that up and make it look all beautiful again. The box, the actual, I don't know if you can see it, but this box is all in good nick. That's the backing cover for the box. I've just put it into epoxy primer. It's POR 15. I've scratched that back and sprayed it into epoxy primer now. So that's good to go. And a couple of plates. They're both actually for the fan motor that bolts on. So these are just an epoxy. I'll just spray paint them basic silver or something. Recovering Peter's seats in his XA Fairmont. That's boy, it's going to be a real big job. He's going to build my motor and I'm going to do his seats. It's a great deal. I'll probably make a separate set of videos for that and post a little bit of them on my own channel, but give the bulk of it to Pete. He can edit it and figure out what he wants to use and what he doesn't. But that's going to be a big project, and I'm really looking forward to it too, because yeah, this Peter's XA, it's got some history. It's found in the desert upside down on its roof, and he's got to transport it back. I think it's in South Australia or in Victoria at the moment, so yeah, that'll be quite cool. Anyway, look, I'm just going to leave you to it. I can't really do anything until this epoxy dries. So looking forward to going to Clark Rubber tomorrow and picking up the pistons. I'll take them up to Pete, because the guy who's doing the rebore needs the pistons. I've also bought a pulley kit, so serpentine pulley kit, so it's going to look pretty cool. My factory, they've started work on stage 1. My factory is actually in stage 2, so look, it's a good year or maybe a year and a half away. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. That's just Googling along in the background. The project that I'm working on is up in Craigieburn. It's the Craigieburn Road upgrade. And yeah, so it's a year and a half, maybe 2 years work up there. It's a long drive. God, the car's got 170,000 k's on it already. So by the time I finish this job, it'll be 250. I'm trying to take the Mondeo. I've got the little Ford Mondeo as often as I can, but it's because I'm just burning through diesel. God, $500 today. I just filled up the tank on the back of the ute and the ute, and filled up all my AdBlue containers, because you know that's a raw AdBlue. You know, 6 months ago, oh, China's keeping all of their urea for their fertilizer industry, so our AdBlue went from about 90 cents a litre to $3. Now all of that crisis has been averted. Yeah, they just think, well, the people were prepared to pay $3, so now it's down to $1.90 or $2 a litre. So they've dropped it back by $1, but the supply's back to where it used to be. But they haven't put the price back down, so it's just fucking inflation for you. You know, they're just greed. It's pure greed by these people. You know. Anyway, aside from that, hope you're all well, and yeah, looking forward to getting this heater box together, and you know, got to get back onto the bodywork, but I'm over that for a minute, and it's almost done anyway. The car's almost finished, so yeah, I thought take a breather, do this. This is a great little project. So anyway, I'll leave you to it and get into it. Stay well, and summer's on its way. Sayonara. G'day guys, it's Tuesday the 24th of May 2022. Just a quick update. Well, so I'm back from Kiwiland, and had a great trip, great catching up with my brother Greg and my sister, and my dad, of course. Took Ethan over. We had a great trip. It was, you know, it's never a holiday, but yeah, they're enjoyable trips, but they're not like holidays. You know, you're always running around and whatnot. But yeah, so we got back last weekend. So I finished grinding that off. I've just PR'd PR15 outside and inside. Bought some seam sealer. This skin is separated at this point here, and it makes a bit of noise there. So I'm going to fill up the seam sealer and let it all go off. I'm going to fill up all these edges, these gaps too. You know, they don't look very nice, and you see that gap there is massive. Yeah, so the gap on that side is massive compared to that. Anyways, we'll figure something out. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So, where did we start? Okay, so I divided the front. As you can recall, that whole piece came out in one big piece. Then I cut it in half. Now, the front section, the very front section, I divided into three. So I've cut that out and welded that back in, straightened it out and welded it back in, and same on the other end there. But this centerpiece is going to be a fair bit of bespoke work here. First thing I did, I inserted this piece of steel here, just tacked it in. I got that shape off the stainless moulding. It's the gift that keeps giving, that moulding. And I've made this out of a beautiful piece of, it's almost 1.1 or 1.2 mil steel, so it's nice and solid and strong, so I can basically anchor everything off this piece here, which is in the perfect position. I also have to remanufacture the inside lip. And I'll do that shortly. But this piece here is going to give me some grief. I've just tacked everything in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just doctor that piece there so it fits that and fits that. So this middle piece here, I'm just going to, like I say, I'm just going to tweak it so it matches between there and there. And so be it. And then what I'll do is I'll unpick the welds, the tacks that I've done, and then take it out and weld it up from behind, so it's going to be a hell of a lot more neater. Yeah. Anyway, that's where we are. So she's pretty agricultural, this welding. It's not my best work, but there's a lot of detail there, a lot of grinding, and but it's all solid. Nice big thick lump of steel up in the front there, just to give it a bit more bracing and support. I've had to change all of that arrangement. I couldn't roll that whole thing over onto the front edge there very far, so I had to sort of shorten it a little bit. But there you go. It's a little bit just there and there. She's a good fit. No, she's great. She's all bolted in place, and I don't have to push it too hard in to make it all fit nicely, so as you can see, it's a bloody good fit, considering what it was. And there's been a lot of heat going to that area, so I just hope it hasn't distorted much, but you know, it is what it is. We're going to have to get the rest out with filler. So, very good. I'm going to go down and buy some bolts for this, to bolt this on, so when I do the body work I can start filling up to this shape. So we're good. We're good all the way along here. So it's flush at the bottom and it's flush at the top nicely. On this first corner here, we do have a little bit of a gap, probably about 2, maybe, well, it wouldn't be 3 mil, but maybe 2.5 mil gap there. But it's good underneath. It sits perfectly. So we'll have to get that with a bit of filler. We're good around here. That's the dead centre. But out to this side here, the gap starts to open up a little bit on the top edge only. We're out to about 3 mil there. We come a bit closer around the corner here, about 2 mil there. But down here, just this one point here, we open up to around about 8 mil, 7 or 8 mil. So, and then it sort of closes down there, opens up a little bit there, and starts to close down again, so it's all good along there. So I think I'm going to have to get that with filler on this top edge. Underneath, it's absolutely perfect all the way. Really nice. It sits exactly where it's supposed to sit.
and really neatly as well, and instinctively it just wants to basically drop into position, which is great. So it's just this top edge here which is going to give us a bit of grief, and going to use a bit of filler. Anyways, yeah, she was never a good piece of it was never a good bonnet, so at least hopefully we can make it look spectacular. She's pretty bad, especially up in there. But what I'll do is I'll give it a sort of an interim fill, get it sort of close, and then we'll assemble the car and then do the finishing touches from there. But this is all looking good up in there, pretty happy with that. I've got to that section there, I've got to put some filler in there, and I've got to fill the whole thing anyway. So snoodles. We've got a bit of bog on there. I've bogged underneath around that section that I've welded, and so I'm just letting that go off. So I've put a bit of filler on the top. It's looking pretty good over this section here at the rear, but we do have a little bit of that there. Nothing from that point further forward. We did have quite a big low in there, probably I'd estimate probably about 6 mil, maybe 5 in there. And so I filled it right up with full of bog, and I've cooled it down onto the front. Now that high point, that crown that we had there that I was trying to beat out when I had it hanging on the last video, it sort of re-emerged a little, so I've had to just tap it down. There's nothing I can do, it's too late now, I can't get to it from underneath, so I've had to tap it down. So it was just across the crown there, just right in the centre. It was just sort of bulged up a bit, and we were low out at each side, so I've tapped it in, and it was really quite gentle actually, and it didn't want to go, but it went, and so now I can get a nice even run over the top of that bonnet, and yeah. I'm trying to preserve these lines, so I masked that off. I just want to preserve those lines because that's our sort of our only gauge. Preserve those, won't fill them until the very end, and then yeah, the job's done. So I've put the tape along there. That's exactly the position, the top of the chrome or the stainless trim. So I've put a pencil line along there, and now I've just put the tape on there. I'm just working this filler so it doesn't leave any gaps in the chrome trim. All I've got to go by for shape is the chrome trim, and if it you know, it might be, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's particularly accurate in its curve, but anyway, that's all we've got. And it's better not to have any gap. That having a gap would scream louder than having it slightly sort of out of shape a little, I'm sure. So anyways, yeah, so I'm just sanding down to the edge of the tape, and I'll try and blend everything back. Using this teardrop shaped sanding block to get in here, it's really good. We're about 50% there with that whole shape of that front there, but man, that just bloody falls into place. It's absolutely perfect. Yeah, gonna have to pay a fair bit of attention to these lines as they go down through there, so I have to try and figure out, guess. I think that top line remains, but I think that at that point there, that line there just blends away to nothing. So I don't know. So there's going to be a little bit more filler needed in there. There's a lot of filler in there already, but anyway, it looks great. Because it's so cold outside and it's damp, it's been raining all night, it's too cold to spray all you need. There's a certain sort of window of temperature which is bloody hard. It's between about 19 degrees and 24 degrees or something. It's in summer you spray it when it's hot as buggery and goes off and it dries and no problems at all. But in winter, I noticed on the first coat that I put on here, it remained tacky for days. And even when I was sanding it, you could still feel it was, it was tacky. It just didn't go off properly, it didn't cure properly. I sanded most of it off anyway. And by the time I got down halfway through it, got through most of it anyway onto the highs and all that and whatnot. So I picked up a gas bottle for this heater. I haven't used it in ages, but it provides a nice radiant warmth over the bonnet, and I just want to I'll run that till it runs out, maybe 3 or 4 hours. I don't know how many hours I'll get out of that bottle, but that'll just set it on its way. That'll just set it on its way, and a little bit of help with the heat gun on this front edge here. I want this to go real hard. It's just a case of just giving it a sand down, find all the lows, and knock off the highs and give it its final coat, and that's finished. But this bonnet has turned out perfectly. It's brilliant. So I'll do this for about probably half an hour. and I'll leave the heater going for 3 or 4 hours. Oh, yeah, forgot. Got a new contract. Bloody 2 years. Big job. 2 years up at Craigburn Road. So I think I might have mentioned it in this on the camera already, but yeah, I'm just going through all the contract signing and whatnot now. It's risky, eh? You do these jobs for these big companies. Fulton Hogan is a good company. It's a Kiwi company actually. Anyway, we'll leave you to it. This point here on that surface is a different profile to the top, so it's got a slightly different profile, so it's sort of that section there seems to go a little bit reduced and then opens up a little bit just on that crown. Now looking at it, it looks like I could do with a little bit more filler there rather than taking more filler off there, but it's so forensic. Bloody hell, where do you finish? Where do you stop? So you can almost see it. That point there to there. So either I've got to take some more off the step or add some to the top of the bonnet. Or take some off the back here, because could potentially be a little bit high there. So that will get that. You can see what line I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on this line here. Okay, so the thickness of that is not even. You can see it right there. It seems to squash down, but I could take some off there, sand a bit off there on the top surface, or I could sand a bit off there on the step. But that line there on the step looks pretty good. It's had about 5 coats. No, sorry, it's had 4 coats of high fill. And I'm still pulling up highs in the filler. And I'm just starting to, the breakthroughs onto bare metal are now have come to an end. I've only got about 2. But boy, what a job. I want this to be mint, of course, as you know. So I finally got it. That is 5 coats of all you need. Pretty much 3.8 litres. Like I say, most of it is on the floor, but I've got these lines nailed, absolutely nailed. Perfection. All the way. Both sides. And even though it's only high fill and it goes on pretty, you know, agriculturally, even just the light in the panels, it's straight as, very little waviness. And when you block that back, once it's into the epoxy undercoat, you get all that out. Yeah, even just the minute filler adjustments make all the difference. I mean, we got really forensic with it yesterday, and I was just sick of it. I was sick of this bonnet. Yeah, it was driving me mad, and I was losing absolute interest in all of the bodywork. I was going to put it down and start working on these, which I am going to now anyway. These, I've got 2 air conditioning units, which for the ZF are one good one and one not so good one. Sorry, one not so good one and one really crappy one. So I'll make one good one out of both of them. So that's my next project. Cheap. This is an aircon heater unit. They both seem to have the same problem. There's this damage for some reason on the top of this fan. There's some sort of resin or fiberglass has been repaired, and so is this one. It's bloody really agricultural too. These things are frightening. There's so much to them. Wires and that is missing or been adjusted. That's missing on the other one. Everything else is intact. This one's good because it's got the dash control unit and all the hoses are connected. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to focus on fixing this one up where I don't have to worry about, you know, remembering where bits go, because I've got one there. So I'll fix this one up physically and make it beautiful. This one, the fan is less, there's less resistance on that fan too, so I figure that should be, in my theory, should be spinning freely, but it doesn't. And we've got a brake here, and the other one on the other one is not broken. Everything else seems to be fine. This works a bit stiff. That works. That all works off sort of vacuum. And yeah, so I want to get to the core inside there and get that out. I might get that pressure tested. And yeah, so we'll start and we'll just revamp it. Make it beautiful and then just swap all of the hoses over from that one to this one. Okay, so I'm pulling the air conditioning and heating cores out, and God, I'm enough. I haven't got enough insight into this sort of stuff to even think about doing it, but lucky I've got some good mates on hand. This copper wire is part of the temperature sender for the AC, and it just goes through a tiny little hole in there in the plastic, and I'm like, oh God, what do I have to do to get that off, because it's all sealed up in there and it looked like it was all part of that. I thought, oh shit, I'll have to cut that and And one quick text message to Peter and Adam. Both of them gave me a reply, very similar. Peter says, yeah, it's the little box on the outside is the thermostat. It uses a capillary tube with a bulb at the end to measure temperature at the evaporator, which that is the evaporator. Just try to withdraw the bulb slowly from the evaporator. And my reply to him was, you legend, I'd be fucked without you. And, of course, you know, I just didn't know. I thought they would be completely fastened to that, but here we go, you see. Voila. So there we have it. So I can now send these off to get them pressure tested. That's the cooler. That's the heater core. Look at all this bloody degraded rubber that the heater core was sitting in. I can clean this out. There's a lot of rubbish in there. This door here that's a two-way door. It had foam on both sides. That foam's completely gone. We've got a brake in the back here by the looks of things. Yep, got a brake there. So that's screen and that's sort of car, I'd say, or one or the other. But that's broken, so I'm going to have to repair that because we'll be losing air out of there. I don't know if you can see that. Just see, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, it's not too bad. Cleaned it up, get it looking beautiful. It's so nice to be back onto just normal restoration stuff. Like I'm just cleaning up this ring. That side's visible. Well, it's not even visible because it goes up against the firewall, but I'm just going to give that a... I've just wire brushed it. Technically I should POR 15 it. Bugger. Yeah, I was going to give it a little bit of a bog, but I'll POR 15 it. This was originally powder coated. I just dropped the radiator, sorry, the heater core and the evaporator down to the radiator guy. Lovely guy actually. He's building an old, well, he's just finished an old HR Ute, Holden, and he's done a pretty good job on it. This rubber gasket survived pretty well. It's in good nick. A little bit of sticky. There's no brakes, so I'll keep that safe. This rubber was surrounded the heater core. It's around about 1/2 inch thick, or actually probably 10 mil thick. I've got a high density foam that'll be perfect for that, so we'll make a new one of those. And onto this fan. So we've got a couple of gaskets here. This is just a piece of cardboard by the looks of things, or some sort of foam that goes around the Yeah, this one's easier to come off. It's working okay. A little bit of a rust break through there, a little rust hole. But I'll POR15 the whole thing. Got to do this. Still got to do this end. But yeah, I'll just POR15 it, and that'll help that keep it alive for another 20 odd years, maybe 50 years. Beautiful. This is so enjoyable doing this, as opposed to doing that. Okay, so I've just wire brushed this with the Widowmaker. We've got a few pock marks in the steel. It's looking a little bit thin, and we have blown through just down on that bottom corner there, on that bottom edge. That I believe would be the drain point. I can't remember, but being the lowest point, I know that AC has to have a drain, and it's rusted below that drain point. So what I'm going to POR15 the whole thing, and I've got this putty, this two-part putty, which is dries that hard. In fact, I could almost use Ferropro as well, and I'll just fill that with the putty, and hopefully it doesn't drip. I will spray it, of course. I will paint over it, and but it'll be POR15 on both sides, so the rust won't reactivate. Going well. You know, this inflation and looming recession, I've noticed it. Fuel, unbelievable, gone through the roof. Cost of living is just way high. Even this POR15, it's over $120 or something now for 1 litre. Yeah, there's a fair bit of, I would say, surprising. I never really paid a lot of thought, paid a lot of attention to a AC heater box. But there'd be a lot of condensation and moisture going on in the back of this thing. Yeah, so I've got the heater going to just help cure that last coat of all you need onto the bonnet, and yeah, it's a perfect hanging place for that panel. for the backing panel of the heater box.
That's the drain point, so it's going to be dripping water out of that rust hole. So I'm going to fill it with this epoxy called Knead It. There is a rubber seal which is in actually pretty good condition. This rubber seal is designed to drive the water. It's like a gasket to drive the water above the bolt holes into the, see there's bolt holes there. It's designed to drive the water that sits in the bottom out that drain point. So I'll fill it full of Knead It. That's that sorted. Other things, yeah, just POR 15, anything that's rusty. Started to clean the fan motor up. Just going to give that a polish and maybe a clear lacquer. Received this evaporator back, all tested, and they vacuum test the evaporators, and it's in good nick, it doesn't leak. We've got some rust here and here, and then on the inside there. Now on the mounting plate. So I've just sprayed it with metal prep to kill the rust, and I'm going to POR 15 that. And the heater core is spot on, no leaks at all, so that's really good. And big news, I've been down to Eagle Auto Spares in Dandenong and bought pistons for the motor. They're 0300 oversized, which is more than what Peter wanted and more than what I wanted, but because we're using 302 rods, which they call the 6-inch rod, we don't have many options. So I did have a guy who said, yeah, I can do it. He's a cowboy, one of these eBay type sellers, and I went to his physical address and it was a fucking wedding shop in Dingley, and he operates his engine complete motor or complete engines or something he's called, and fuck, it's a wedding shop, and there's absolutely not one item of car engines, nothing. It's all just bloody wedding rubbish. And so he said, oh yeah, I can get them. So I left there and said, oh, don't worry about it, mate, I'll try somewhere else. So I went off to Eagle, and they said, no, look, you can only really get the 30s and 60s oversized. And so I said, let's do it. Big news is I bought a pulley kit, a serpentine belt pulley kit. It comes with a beautiful chrome alternator, AC pump, which is really small, slimline, not like the old York type design, which looks like a bloody, a TT500 single banger engine. It's tiny, it's apparently really efficient. It's got a power steering pump on it, and yeah, the tensioner, and it just looks fantastic, so can't wait to get that. But that's 2 or 3 weeks away. But the pistons will be in tomorrow, so I'll pick them up as soon as I can on my next day off and run them up to Pete. And yeah, the first bill for the engine will come through after he bores it, and then yeah, who knows what it's going to cost. So I'm up to already on the engine about $4,000. Yeah, including having these tested. Oh no, this is not engine related. Yeah, 3,900. So 3.5 for the pulley kit, which was really cheap. I mean, you look online, they're $5,000, and so 3.5 for the pulley kit and 400 for the pistons. And even online, the pistons, like this backyard eBay dude, 450. So going to a retailer in Dandenong, Eagle Autos, are cheaper all round. So that's really handy to know. So you're not going to get ripped off, which is good. Yes, I managed to remove this mounting bracket from the evaporator, or condenser. I don't know what it's called, whether it's an evaporator or a condenser. And as you can see, it's quite rusty, but it's only surface rust. There's no cancer. So perfect opportunity, POR 15. I've cleaned the whole thing down with a wire brush, the wire wheel on the grinder, and putting some POR 15 on it. So a nice coat of that. That'll last another 50 years for sure.
The paint. This is the diverter for the air, so it opens through to the screen, and the air comes out there to the screen, or as you can see, it opens it for the cab, or sorry, for the floor. Yeah, for the floor. So the air comes in there, it goes to the floor from there, and it goes to the screen from there. But I was just trying to have it clean out in there and dick around with it, so I actually started to take it off. But this is the little operating hoovy wacket. This is the hoovy wacket that operates it. It's sort of attached there somewhere. It's sort of an air-powered thing, but spewing, it clips there. Well, it actually was there, but it was a little bit bent, so I thought, I'll just try and straighten it a little bit. Bang! Off she came. And I checked the other one, I've got a spare one, and that's broken as well, so we're going to have to take this apart and repair it. Which is problematic. So it's all riveted in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rivets. All small rivets with little washers on them, so I have to drill them out. But this has to go on a set way, so it goes on that way, so you can see that direction, so it comes out there. Metal fins. So it looks like it's just tapered on there, just been knocked on. So I had to fabricate that. It controls that flap for the windscreen and for the demister and the floor. So that fits in there on a spline. There's a spline on that, and I've drilled it quite small, so I'm going to have to press that on, but I don't want to over drill it. This I actually was going to do. I had it originally a beautiful post, and but I drilled that hole in the wrong position, so I had to swap ends and restart it basically, so I just inserted a bolt, welded it in, and then moved that hole back a little bit so that the spacing is spot on now. So. I've made it a little bit thicker in the girth, So that's very thin there, and I've made it quite thick there, so it all finishes at the same height, but it's got a thicker arm on it. That will never break. Now that that is a whole afternoon of work. I was hoping to have parts of this heater box painted. Oh, there's my phone. I was hoping to have parts of this heater box painted and starting to assemble it, but because I broke this, I have to remake it. As you could probably remember, that was all rusty and not looking very good at all actually. But at least the POR 15 will stop that, and it'll live to cool another day. So looking forward to getting this aircon sorted out.